All right. It's been a minute, but we back in it.
We back,
And,
man.
and we back. We missed you guys, but we back. OTG. We're recording here on July 16th. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. But first thing I gotta ask is Uncle Chris, T, what's good? How y'all been doing?
Sheesh. Been working, brothers. Been working, man. Just, trying to get to that bag and stay out the way, man.
Tyler, you on mute.
You on me, bro.
Probably double muted.
Mm-mm. Still nothing, Chief.
Man, well, while he figured that out, we'll get into our first topic. So, rumors came out today. Well, not rumors, but outlets have came out today saying that Brandon Aiyuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers. I wanted to get your thoughts on that because, a few months ago in the draft, the Niners did pick up Ricky Purcell and they picked up Jacob Cohen. So they do have some receivers, right? And Juwan Jennings got re-signed too. You got Debo, obviously. So there's some other folks in the room. Do you think he gets traded, or do you think that they figure it out? Because we've had this before, right? Like Debo requested a trade, and he had the Niners are liars up in the club with the champagne, and he's still on the team, right? So
Right.
I wanted to get your thoughts on where they might be going with this.
Uh, I, Me personally, as I don't want to be seen biased or anything, but as a fan of the Niners, I would hope they reach some sort of negotiation and reach agreement to a contract or somehow. But on the other hand, again, at the end of the day, it is business, and the organization will do what's best for the organization, and Brandon Aiyuk will make the decision what's best for him at the end of the day as well. So, um, it could go either way because what you also just mentioned, even to touch up on it, our wide receiver group is pretty deep right now. We have Debo. You just mentioned we got upcoming rookie Ricky Purcell, Cohen's. Still got Juwan Jennings. Sheesh, we still got Kittle to open up the
Yeah,
field as
exactly.
well.
Yep.
So it is pretty deep on our wide receiver group, but Ayuk does add value to the team. We're not going to act like he's just some sort of regular player. At the end of the day, he does bring value. He is a core piece to that group, to the team. Um, so I hope they can reach an agreement, but again, like I just said, it is business, and those people will do what's best for the team, and Brandon Aiyuk will have to do what's best for him as well. So, it's it is kind of, I don't want to say it's too soon to say, but I hope those people can. I hope they can reach an agreement. I would love to see Ayuk still on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially after the season he had this year, like a real breakout year for him.
Right.
Definitely featured more. So, would definitely, I mean, as a Saints fan,
It,
I mean, if he goes
it's
somewhere else, I ain't tripping on it. But for you, I want to see you happy. You my
it's
bro. So
one of those things, man. It's like you would. It's gonna hurt to see him go and ball out somewhere else. Like, damn, bro, he was for us first.
yeah, and you can't pay everybody. It's like
Right.
you gotta let somebody go. Which I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I used the person to go right. T, I see you made it back. What are your thoughts about the whole Ayuk situation? Any teams that you think off the top of your head could use Ayuk services?
Oh, first of all, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Ski.
man, that's like you say, business has to be done. That's what the league is a business. Like y'all say, y'all pretty much hit the nail on the coffin. You can't pay everybody, but as a person who contributed so much to that team, it's sad to see it in that way with that man requesting a trade if it happens. Um, maybe his price is too high. Maybe the 49ers price, is obviously is too low. The middle point is obviously too low. So I guess we should see with training camp starting up, the rookies. Some teams have rookies in this week. All seems like the vets report next week. We just see how this plays out. A team that you could use his services. Are we talking just a team in general, or a contender, or
Yeah, just a team you think needs a receiver, right? Like some folks have mentioned Buffalo as a possibility, right? I know the
yeah?
Steelers have been thrown around. I know, Ayuk's boys with Jaden Daniels.
So
Washington's been thrown around.
So if I can remember correctly, he was on the Pivot podcast with the podcast that Ryan Clark,
Yeah.
Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor has. And they straight up asked him, like, if you're not a 49er next season, what teams would you be interested in? And his number one team was Washington because of Jaden Daniels. They played together at ASU, which is wild that they had Jaden Daniels, Brandon Aiyuk, and Ricky Purcell all in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's wild. Damn. And then I forgot the other teams he had mentioned. But I, if I had to pick one, Washington, because like I said, your homeboy there, y'all got that chemistry. Y'all they talk every day, so I see Washington find a way to get him there.
Yeah, and that's like an underrated part of it, right? Is that like if you got genuine like chemistry with somebody, right, and that's your boy, and hey, I know if I run this route, I know what kind of look I'm gonna get, and that kind of stuff. Like that's a very underrated part of the game, right? Like I think about like Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, right? And they were talking about how they became best friends and they trained in the off season, and you saw that on the field. Like you saw how they clicked and they had that chemistry right away. And CJ Stroud was making these throws, and it was like only Tank Dell could go get it, right? Or he knew where to be, and that's like a really underrated part of the game. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, right? Because whatever team trades for him, they're gonna have to pay him too. So, you know, obviously you're gonna give up something of significant value, but you also got to make sure you can pay him too. So that'll be an interesting part to see, like what happens. I think
Yeah.
Washington can make it work.
Oh shit! I was just about to say that. I mean, we always seem to be doing business with Washington anyway.
That's
So
true. That's true. Because what Chase Young
we
went
got shit.
Trent Williams. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Trent
That's
Williams.
yeah, man.
Chase Young.
Yeah,
Who else? We just let was it our what? Some exec. I can't crap. Who was
yeah,
it?
yeah. Y'all assistant GM went out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
assistant
to take that
GM.
lead
Crap,
job.
I went
Yeah,
blank for a second.
but yeah, you're right. That's a quick phone call that can be made. So that it makes sense. So
That could be a great possibility.
yeah, so
That chemistry you was talking about though, that goes a long way. He Ayuk said on that podcast that they had like a game winning touchdown pass in college that wasn't even a call play. It was basically get to the line of scrimmage, they looked at each other, and Jaden Daniels went to him and he scored a touchdown, they won the game.
yeah,
I think it was against Oregon. I was like, you can't beat stuff like that, man.
yeah. That's the stuff they say you can't teach, right? Like you're talking
Right.
about
That's almost
speed,
like twin that what they call it, twin
Twin
telepathy.
telepathy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Which is wild because like I got twin cousins as quarterback and receiver, so
Oh, well,
yeah.
there you go. That's dope. Shout out to them. So we'll stick on the NFL for a minute here. So, like Tyler said, we got training camp like literally about to start. Um, are there any teams or maybe players or rookies that you guys are keeping an eye on? Obviously, we'll go more in depth into this as the season gets closer and we have more recordings. But just on the surface, what are you guys looking forward to? Is there a specific player or team that you're looking at and saying, okay, I'm gonna be paying attention to their training camp and their preseason?
Shoot, right off the bat for me, man. Again, I'm gonna go with the hometown kid, Keon. I'm ready to see him ball out. I don't want to use the word hype, but he has become a fan favorite in the recent times since the draft and such. But I am looking forward to see him ball out, see what he does out on the field. It does bring more interest in looking forward to it. That's a young kid I seen grew up back home in Opelousas, so um, it's exciting times for him and his family, his loved ones. So I'm looking forward to see him go out there, do what he's been known to do. So I'm looking forward to him. We just talked about him kind of briefly earlier, Ricky Purcell on the Niners. Another one I'm looking forward to watching. Um, Interestingly enough, I'm looking forward to seeing Caleb Williams. I want to see him play. As oddly as weird this mofo is, but uh, I don't want to be that person to prejudge him before
Yeah.
he gets out on the field. So I speak realistically and just, hey, I don't want to put no asterisk behind this young man's name or make no sort of judgments. I want to see him ball. He was drafted number 1 overall, so I'm looking forward to see what he does as well.
T, who you got your eye on? If you know, Chris went
Uh,
the rookie route, which is always cool. Uh,
man, I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, I got two. I say I'm looking forward to seeing what the Saints offense do this season with a new OC, Carr's second year. I just want to see what the offense looking like next year. And Chris kept the hometown feel. BT in Jacksonville. It's because it still amazes me that this man only played 2 years of high school football, went to LSU, and then balled out and got drafted. That's still blows my mind. But yeah, I want to see what he do out there in Jacksonville. So that's my two that I'm looking forward to.
Hey, didn't
For sure.
the Saints, didn't y'all get Chase Young, right?
Yeah.
yeah, they signed him in the
Yeah, y'all
offseason.
got Chase Young. Yeah, I want to see how that works out for him in New Orleans.
Yeah, he had a neck injury or something. So, but they said he should be ready for training camp. So, we'll see. I mean, my concern with him is that he's just using us to get paid this coming season. So, he can ball out for us, and if it pays dividends, if we get to the playoffs, that's cool. But my fear is that we won't be able to keep him, and he just kind of, he's like on a 1-year rental. For me, I'm looking forward to two teams. I'm looking forward to Miami. I, Tua
Ooh.
Tua hasn't gotten his contract yet. All these other quarterbacks have been paid this offseason, right? Off the top of my head, like Jared Goff got paid. I'm trying to think of some other QBs that have gotten paid, and now I'm going blank because I'm thinking about it. But Jared Goff is one that comes to mind for me. Oh, well, Tua's peers, right? So like Burrow got paid last offseason. Herbert got his extension. Jordan Love is waiting to get paid, right? So Tua, he wants this new contract, and Miami wants to pay him. But I think the reason why it's not done yet is because I think it's up to Tua to kind of show them, can he take that next step? Can he truly be healthy and stay an elite receiver, right? Um, you got all these weapons coming back. They signed Odell Beckham Jr. What's that gonna look like? Um, you got all those running backs there. So I'm interested to see how that situation unfolds. Right? Does Tua come into camp and he lighten it up to where he gets paid and he gets the amount of money that he wants, or is it a situation where the Dolphins kind of wait and see what happens? I think they'll eventually get a deal done, but I think the holdup is, what kind of money is he going to get? Trevor Lawrence was somebody I was thinking about, um, who just got a contract this offseason too. Like, what kind of money is Tua going to be looking at with the Dolphins? And then Another team I'm interested in is the Chargers, right? So the Chargers got John Harbaugh back from Michigan, new head coach there, gotten rid of almost everybody. Keenan Allen's gone. Who's Justin Herbert going to throw the ball to? Who's going to be that running back that steps up and becomes the guy? Is it Gus Edwards? Is it J.K. Dobbins? Is it going to be that rookie Vidal that they got in the draft? So that'll be an interesting situation to see how that unfolds, because everywhere Harbaugh's been, he's had a good team.
That's a fact.
He's always either been in the playoffs or some kind of championship, right? So is he going to have that same luck in the NFL the second go around, right? Because when he went to San Francisco, they were immediately a playoff contender. He seemed to be finding very quick success there. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can have that same, magic with the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that division is not as strong as what we thought it was, right? The Chargers are probably the second best team in that division. Obviously you got Mahomes. You got to stop him from getting a three-peat. But when I think about his time in San Francisco, Seattle was that team that was like really good, and they had some really crazy battles. So could it be a similar situation here with Mahomes, right? Like, does he have the Chargers back on top to where they're, fighting in the AFC, which is like crazy deep, right? I mean, you got, Baltimore, Buffalo, the Chiefs, the Texans had a great year last year. It's going to be really interesting to see how that all unfolds.
I can dig it. That's a great point, bro. When you put it in that perspective with the whole breakdown of the Seahawks run that they had, and with Harbaugh taking them to be the competitor, bro, that's a great point.
Because it's like one of those things, right? It's like
great point.
He's been good everywhere he's been. So it's like, is this the stop that's gonna be like a real challenge for him? Because like, you look at the team and it's like, yeah, they got a decent roster, but like, Keenan Allen's gone, Mike Williams is gone. Like, how's that offense gonna look? Eckler's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Then they brought in all the Ravens players.
Right. Besides Gus, but like Dobbins is coming off an injury, like his second major injury. So it's gonna be interesting to see, man. Like, I'm really interested to see like how that looks. That'll be one to watch. So we'll pivot from NFL and we'll get into some basketball. So obviously the Celtics won the title, right? They bringing everybody and their mama back.
Whole team.
So we had the draft, and we had the two French guys go 1 and 2. So you had Zachary. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but he went to the Hawks. You had Sarr, who everybody thought was probably going to be the number 1 pick. He goes to Washington. And then you have a lot of other guys, that go to some pretty decent landing spots, right? Or interesting landing spots. Because Reed Shepherd, he went to Houston. And he seems to, right now, I know it's just summer league, but he looks like the best rookie out of the whole class. Right now.
I was watching that game last night. They were talking about shutting him down for the rest of summer league because he's just been
balling. And that's how you know you really good. When they tell
like,
you know what, you don't need to play summer league.
Oh, what? We ain't taking no chance of you getting hurt, buddy.
So, obviously, LeBron James' son, Bronny James, got drafted. He went to the Lakers. What are you guys' thoughts about that? And then we can kind of get into what we've seen in summer league so far. But, obviously there's been a lot of criticism one way or another about LeBron basically kind of making the league not draft his kids so that he could join the Lakers. So what are your guys' thoughts about that?
Look, so I'll say, man, sometimes we might joke about LeBron here and there, or whatever's floating around the internet. But in this case here, I say this. I don't get why he's getting the criticism he's getting, because at the end of the day, if you're a parent or if you claim you want to be a parent, people always say they want to put their kids in the best position as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
This man is a father at the end of the day, and he's put his kids in the best position they possibly could be in. And in this case of him, making a way for his kid to play with him, what's the big deal? I don't
Right.
see the backlash or hatred behind it, because I'm sure if you were a parent, you would probably do the same thing, whether it would be at a different job or something. You would probably want your kid to work with you at your job where you working at, or connect them in at some place you connected in, whatever the case may be for you. But you would always want to find that way to put your kid in the best position possible. And I don't see why LeBron is getting the hatred and the backlash and the criticisms he's getting, because he's just simply being a providing father. Point blank, period.
Absolutely. Tyler, your thoughts on the situation?
Man, I just think it's one of the things, just because it's LeBron, the face of the league. People gonna cry about LeBron, good or bad, more bad than good. Like, they don't care about his accomplishments. All they care about is um, the six losses in the finals. Like, if this was anybody else's son, it'd be like, okay, cool. Like, he's in the league. Like, good job. Like, he's a great player. He fulfilled his dream of getting drafted. But because it's Bronny, it's like it's way more crazy. And this dude has to come in and drop 20 a game in summer league to prove himself. But since he hasn't, it's like, oh, that was bad. Bronny ain't ready for the NBA. Bronny's gonna be G League or overseas. It's like, bro, let the man get acclimated to the league, bro. Like, this ain't college. You playing against grown ass men. He's like what, 18, 19, like 19 years
Right.
old. Like, oh, bro, like, cause you're not balling in summer league. Like, who cares? Like, if you're not dropping 20 a game in summer league, are you developing your game? Which he probably is. Yeah, his stats ain't there, but summer league, nobody comes in, drops 20 a game in summer league. I mean, can we name a player that ever did that? They might have 120-point game, but the thing with it, man, people need to chill. Like, let the man live his life. Like,
Yeah. And to
I
and
don't
to your
think.
point, like what you were saying about the 20 points a game, right? There's some folks that have come through summer league and have torn it up, right? And still haven't made an NBA roster, right? And then there's some other
Exactly.
guys that weren't great in summer league and they're everyday starters, superstars in the NBA. It's not an exact science, right? Which the point you were making there.
And then going back to your point about the LeBron blocking the league to get his son drafted, like, to the Lakers, I don't necessarily think that was the case. And if it was, LA, the Lakers, LeBron, that's probably the best fit for him transitioning, just because of all the media and people talking, the hype, all that good stuff. Like, it's probably best for him as a person, a player, developing in the league if he was with the Lakers. Like, could you imagine Bronny getting drafted to New Orleans and just being down here in Lola with all these crazy ass people? And it's like, I was like, I'm not saying that he's
Yeah.
sheltered, but I'm saying it's a better situation for
Yeah,
him
yeah.
in
And
LA.
and I didn't want to say that in a bad way, but there were
No,
rumors,
not at
right?
all.
Media was reporting that like Rich Paul, who's LeBron's agent, was making calls to teams saying like, "Hey, if you're looking at drafting Bronny, he's gonna go play overseas. So
No, the fuck he not.
yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like a half-ass threat, right? It's like, like okay, go play overseas, Bronny.
Right. Yeah.
No,
All right, like
Bronny, look, if anything, Bronny is gonna play in the G League, develop, and after a year or two, he'll get the call up. He gonna be on the 2-way contract.
I think people would have been more satisfied if they would have been like, hey, all right, he's going straight to the G League.
mm-hmm.
I think that's what people were waiting to hear, like, rather than just, oh, he going to play with his dad on the Lakers. I think people were like, man, look, if I'm in that position and I can still play at a top elite level like LeBron is, and I'm able to play with my son,
I'm
bro,
doing it.
by all means, man, what?
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, right? Is that like everybody's been talking shit about the situation one way or another, but like at the end of the day, everybody throws out nepotism. Oh, nepotism. Like, yes, this is a blatant case of nepotism. But guess what? Just like you said, Chris, any parent who's become successful, and whatever that looks like, right? They're gonna make sure that their kids or their family reap the benefits of that, right?
Bro, and look, not to cut y'all, but I want to
Yeah.
make this point real quick while we touching on the Lakers. The whole Bush family are executives of that whole goddamn team.
Exactly. And I was going to bring up the Cowboys because Jerry Jones, if you go on the NFL's website and you look at the executive team of the Cowboys,
they all got Jones last. They all of them Jones.
It's
they all
Jerry
Jones.
Jones and family and kids, bro.
Exactly. So,
Bro, let's
yes, is it nepotism? 100%. But kudos to LeBron for using his platform to put his son in the best situation. Like,
look, let's
go ahead, Tom.
let's put this into real world, not professional basketball. I have a friend. His mom, who RIP to her, she recently passed away about a couple months ago. She worked for this company for the longest time. When my boy was finished with college, hey, I need a job. I need a real job. Guess what he started working at? With his mom. Guess what happened, unfortunately, after his mom passed away? He took her position. She was grooming him to take her position eventually. Now, it sucks that it came how it came and not,
Sure.
a couple of years down the line when she retired or something. But that's basically all LeBron did.
Yeah,
He groomed this man to come work with him.
Yeah, and there's people that are like, oh, well, Bronny's not good enough. And to be honest with you, I'm on that side. Like, I don't know if he's NBA caliber. I think he probably could have used another year in college because he had that heart issue, right? He missed half the year. He definitely could have used probably another year. And you could argue, oh, Joe Blow from this university played all 4 years and he deserved to get drafted. He probably did, but there's guys in the NFL and other folks that put up crazy stats and they get passed over for this guy that's got all the athleticism but hasn't proven it on the field. Like we see it all the time, right?
All the time.
So, I mean, yeah, is Bronny good enough right now? No, he's not. He's gonna have a learning curve. He's gonna have to prove it. His dad got him here, but he's gonna have to prove it.
Yeah, right. He still gotta play. Like his dad, LeBron can't play his minutes. Shoot the ball for him, and he gets the stats. Like he gotta go out there and prove it and ball out. Now that's why I said personally, I think he's gonna do a couple years in the G League. Well,
that ain't a bad thing.
It's not. But do I think they're going to have a game where they're both on the floor together for the Lakers in Lakers uniforms? Yes.
For sure.
Most probably going to happen game 1.
Will it be a publicity stunt? a lot of people would think that.
No, you could say it 100% because like
Yes.
ESPN, right? Like the finals was going on and they were talking about LeBron and where was Bronny gonna get drafted, and it's like, come on, guys, like talk about the finals, talk about
Yeah,
the Celtics and Dallas, like and that's another story for another day. But the media is like all they talk about is five things, and it's like LeBron, the Cowboys, and whatever else. It's like talk about what's going on in sports. Like let's stick to some relevant topics. Now that Bronny's drafted, you could have talked about that on draft night. Like, okay, James Jr. got drafted. All right, y'all, what's gonna happen next?
right.
But have you guys watched any summer league at all? Any players that you might have seen and you were like, wow, okay, this guy's pretty good.
Man, look, my dad said it best. I don't even know half these dudes that's playing summer league now. Even the ones that got drafted, dog. It's like, who are these dudes? Because college basketball it ain't it ain't what there's no like big name players anymore. That like there's no Anthony Edwards and you know ads out there, Boogie Cousins. That's like, man, you watch their games and it's like, okay, this dude is okay. He's something, bro. We got more international people that got drafted than American people.
Yeah,
So
Hey, that's a
that's
good point, T-Bo. I can remember them days calling my partner Dexter. Hey, bro, Derrick Rose about to play. Son, you got the game on? Son, Derrick Rose
bro.
about to come on, boy. You
Let's I
watching that
mean
game?
let's put it like this: between Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cadoza, Fonje Johnson, we probably know more college women basketball players than we do men players because they get talked about and they good.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
saying the men are not good, but it's like, who are they? Like,
yeah, for sure.
those
you
those
know,
young ladies are having their moment right now.
Oh, for sure.
exactly.
Yeah, and going into the draft, right? Like a lot of people's like, oh, this is a weak class, and I know we talked about it before on the show, but like, and Tyler just made the point, like, there's a lot more international guys that are, getting drafted earlier. Like
Hmm.
like for every like a Luca, right? Like Luca was probably one of the few international guys that went in the first round, right? And don't quote me on that or come stat check me later, but hell, Joker wasn't even a first round pick. He was a second round pick that just happened to develop into what he is. But like I said, you had the two French guys, um, uh, Matis, that the guy that got drafted by Chicago. He's international. He played in the G League this past year, but he's an international guy. There was another guy from France that got drafted by Charlotte in the first round. Like these international kids, they come in the hoop.
And
Like
that's the thing. Not okay, not my bad. I don't
yeah,
want to cut you off. And that,
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
the thing too. Like nowadays with the NILs and endorsements, able those kids to make money from that. I think that's taking away the hunger from a bit of those kids. Like, that was a certain point. Like that's all you wanted to do was just like make it. Like, and now the goal is still to make it, take care of yourself, your people, and so forth. But like, I think once those kids start touching their money the way they are now, like we're talking about freshmen coming into college now, able to make millions of dollars. Like,
Got three
And to that
million,
bro,
point, right?
four
You got these
million.
kids that they might not necessarily declare for the draft after their freshman year because they're
right,
getting paid that money
right,
with the NILs. Like that kid from Carolina, the one that was there for like 5 years. He went undrafted, but I think he signed with a team. Baycott, Armando Baycott, I believe that's how you say his last name. He was on a podcast recently. He was talking about I made well over $2 million at Carolina during my time there off of NIL. And think about it. He was there 4 or 5 years. He only got to experience 2 years of that NIL because it went into effect when he was still in college. So imagine had he stayed all four, he
right,
probably could have had $4 or $5 million.
right.
you know. And like you said, Chris, back in the day, it was you go to college, you get drafted, and then that's when you make it, right? That's when you get that first big check or that big signing bonus, and that's like I made it.
Right.
Now you signing an NIL deal, and you getting a check, a car, an endorsement, and it's like you might have not made it, but it's a step in the right direction.
Bro, you got kids in college going to school in Maybachs, bro.
That's what I'm saying. And
In
before it was like,
Maybachs.
it was like under the rug. You had to be kind of slick with it. But now it's
And
like you
now
could
it's
just
like it's
blatantly
open.
do it.
It's like a strip
I'm
club. They just throw
like, I
money
mean,
at you.
think about it. You like again, he got his Heisman back, but like, bro, Reggie Bush, I'm sure he had to have been pissed off. Like, wait, what?
Bro.
And that's why you're seeing a lot of these lawsuits, right? Like the new NCAA just came out, which is great, by the way. If you have the system, go ahead and get it. It's a great game. Uh, there you go. So all these guys that were featured on that game back in the day, they're now suing to get even more money, based on their likeness and that kind of stuff. Because the whole reason why, and again, you can fact check me if you want, but the reason why college football was able to be made again was because of the NIL, but
Mm-hmm.
there was also a settlement from a previous lawsuit with a group of folks that were saying, "Hey, they made money off my likeness. They just didn't use my name."
No.
But a
But
lot of
we
these
know.
guys
We
now,
knew
like
who they
Reggie
were.
Bush and them, they trying to get their money back. Hell, Terrell
Yeah.
Pryor, I know he probably like, damn, y'all owe me a lot, man. I got suspended from Ohio State. I had to go to the NFL early because y'all was trying to play me. Like, there's a lot of folks that got some cases, man.
And I'm
I
just
think
saying to that, and I just wanted to say that to say, like, how you were saying those international kids, they coming first round of 1, 2, top 5 picks nowadays. And we used to kids from here in our territories like going number one, number two overall.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really used to seeing that type of talent nowadays. It's not too appealing because I feel like those kids are becoming a little bit more too relaxed now. They touching that chili. Nowadays, you got social media that they gotta live for, put a prove a point on social media for. Now it's like it's
Yeah,
taking away
you
that
gotta make
hunger,
them
that drive.
TikToks.
Yeah, man. Mr. Him downstairs on Philadelphia. Don't get me started on him.
We'll say that for another
Yeah,
day.
we're gonna say that for another show. That sass ass little nigga there, but
speaking of him, I think
uh
he balling right now in summer league. I'm watching the game.
Yeah, I
man,
saw he played last night. I mean, don't get me wrong, he could hoop, but to Chris's point, man, he got some other stuff going on.
it's like it's too much TikToks, man. What a dog is it?
Ain't no
Yeah,
dog, man.
Bro,
Ain't no
like
dog.
yeah, like I hate when they use that like I'm a student of Kobe and shit. MJ, nigga, you think Kobe sitting there doing TikToks, boy?
right,
Kobe would probably slap that phone out your hand if you're doing some shit like that around the court. Like,
right, and it's like, um, like Jason Tatum, man, like they've been getting on him because like he hasn't said anything original, and I get, and I'm not trying to downplay the relationship he had with Kobe, but it's like to other people, it's like it's just obnoxious, right? It's just like
yeah,
sending
very not.
screenshots of the text and you trying to, emulate
Like,
stuff, and
bro,
you
we know he's not gonna text you back, cuz
like,
we know he's not gonna respond back to you, bro.
but yeah, man, it's just it's yeah, it's a different league. It's different ways of things, and like you said, a lot of that grit that like the Derrick Roses and like the AIs,
Yeah, man.
the Russell Westbrooks that they came up with, and that grind to go through college and all that stuff.
You like we want to see dogs, bro. Like how those women feel for like Caitlin Clark. How those like, bro, like we out. Who else could we say like that was like we needed to see this dude. Like we needed to watch him. Like who has been that person
I
for
think the
us?
last class where,
Was Steph Curry? We could say.
well, I was gonna say, like, I know with like Anthony Edwards when he came out, LaMelo when they were in that draft class together. I know a lot of people were like looking forward to those guys. Um, I mean, the most recent one is definitely Wemby, but he's not from the U.S., right? He's from
Right.
France,
Right.
and that's what I was talking about with that grit. Is that like somebody like Wemby, somebody like Luca, they started playing professional basketball at like 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
In packed arenas, and they were battle tested before they even came to the NBA, right? And it's like, where has that gone? You know what I'm saying? Like March Madness is still there, right? Everybody still raves about it and still watches it, but it's
But we
different.
don't know. We don't know none of these players though.
Yeah. Like it's a new breed. Like we,
You,
that
you
guy from
watching
Oakland,
that?
man, that the one that was balling out during the tournament. He looked like he's selling insurance, man. He out here cooking 5-star, 4-star recruits. Like, like what's going on?
We watch March Madness for the team. Like
Mm-hmm.
you find you a team you lock on, and then you watch the players play. But that one player, it's like, nah, we don't really have that no more. Which is why when it
Yeah,
comes to the
man.
draft, in my opinion, you watch the draft. Like I literally watched the first round, and as every name went off the board that I seen, I'm like, who the hell is this dude? Oh, he's from overseas. Okay. Oh, he was in college, but I ain't never heard of him.
Like a feeling, like a certain feeling, bro. Like again, like I don't want to hard back on him again, but it's like when Derrick Rose got drafted, like, bro,
Mm-hmm.
I needed to watch Derrick Rose play. By all means, I needed to watch Derrick Rose play, bro. Steph Curry was another one. Shit.
I mean, you talking
KD.
about like AD.
Yeah.
Um, hell, even when Cat came out, I feel like people were like paying attention to Cat and seeing
People
what he was gonna do, right? Because of what he
people
did in
paid attention
Kentucky.
to all their games.
Shit.
Yeah.
Even John Morant before his injury and his
Yeah,
other
him and
setbacks.
Zion.
Like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
he was had John Morant was bro, if he didn't have his setbacks, John Morant was having his run. Like exciting to watch him. Like and
Yeah.
he could come back and that could be another thing for him, but like just when he had his run, bro, it was exciting.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with Zion, right? Like Zion was like that, and that's probably the most recent American to be like super hyped up was
Of
Zion.
Yeah.
course.
Like some
Yeah.
homegrown kid, like
From South
And then
Carolina.
it doesn't help his first within the first 5 minutes of his first summer league game, he rip a dude and then dunk it. So,
But that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like I don't know.
Like people was ready to
man.
see this man play in summer league. Like I mean,
Hey,
me and you was hyped because he a Pelican,
right,
so we
right,
wanted
right.
to watch him. But like I'm sure, like that first summer league game until he got injured, people was locked in. And I'm
Oh
sure as soon as he got injured, they was like, all right, well, we ain't watching this no more because he ain't playing.
yeah, exactly.
that might have to be a poll we put up, bro.
Yeah, like who's the last up and coming prospect that got you hype?
Like, yeah, like who like by all means you needed to like watch their games. Like
And you know what? It's it's funny you bring that up because one thing that shocked me here recently, and I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but we could talk about it now. A lot of these young kids coming up, and I'm talking about the circuit now, call it, 16, 17-year olds that are on that AAU senior circuit, right? About to declare to go to college or commit to a
mhm.
school, right? And a lot of them were being asked like, "Hey, who did you model your game after growing up? Who did you look up to growing up?" And it shocked me how many people said this player, and I'll let you guys take a guess, but it really opened my eyes as to like, okay, so this is who this generation is like kind of idolizing, right? And it's not LeBron, but it was like somebody that he's a good player, he's a great player, but it's like I didn't think people were like paying attention to him like that. So I want y'all to guess who this player is, and then we can talk about it a little further. But
Is he one of the bigger names in the league?
for sure, for
I'll
sure,
Paul
say Luka.
George.
Paul
Luka.
George. That's who it
Paul
was.
George.
Paul
Paul
George.
George.
A lot of
Damn.
people, a lot of those
Paul
kids were like,
George.
yeah, like my favorite player is Paul George. Like I grew up watching Paul George. I modeled my game after Paul George, and I was like, wow, really? Like he's great,
Yeah.
but it's like, was it what he did in Indiana and kids were watching that? Like it'd be interested to talk to one of them and be like, like what was it with Paul George for you?
His run in Indiana was great before that before his injury and
Mm-hmm.
shit like that.
But what
But
made you guess Paul George? Or maybe you knew the answer already.
I'm not gonna say I knew, but it might have been like I like I guess it was more so a feeling because like I don't know, like KD, he was I don't want to say KD was in our younger times, but like KD was
I
he
mean,
might have
he
he was
was
there
though. Like
before.
KD came out in what 2007. We were definitely
Yeah, yeah. So we were
middle
like middle
school.
school.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Like so, Paul George was probably
he was like 3-4 years after that. 2011,
so
2010,
like
maybe.
yeah, so like high school for us.
Yeah, we was high school.
That was
Yeah,
probably high school for us. I don't know, man.
But
I don't know.
for those kids, that's like middle school, elementary school for
yeah,
them.
elementary
A
So
school.
lot
Sure.
of a lot of the AAU kid, like I'm sure it was a lot of like travel kid AAU kid type kids. I don't know, man. Paul, who else could have been a good candidate? I mean, we got it. Paul
Because like
George.
because like the KDs, the Hardens, the Westbrooks, right? Kobe was firm into his prime, right? Well, he was part of that those back-to-back titles, what, in 09 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had LeBron that was kind of picking it up and doing what he's doing now, obviously. But like LeBron's era spans decades now, right?
Right.
And it's like, like I said, maybe it was like, oh, they saw Paul George in Indiana and Oklahoma City and was like, yeah, like I like this guy,
they
like
saw they saw Paul
I
George like we saw LeBron. LeBron
yeah, I
came
think
out when
like
we was real young. So if you've been watching, so somebody our age has been watching LeBron for this long, it's like, okay, I
we
got
might
all
have to
this.
we might have to do some research on it. But what was one of those years Paul George had a great run?
well,
When they went,
let's pull it
It,
up.
he,
when they went
because
to the when
that
they
could
went
be
to
the
the conference
correlation.
finals.
That could be the correlation right there when you
Yeah,
think
because
about that.
a lot of those teams, it was him and Danny Granger in Indiana.
That's a name you ain't heard in a while.
Hey, I mean, I'm here to make you feel old, I guess.
I definitely feel old, my brother.
Okay, so Paul George was drafted in 2010, 10th overall pick. And then obviously he from 2010 to 2017, he was in Indiana. Obviously the year he got hurt was 2014. Well, that season he only played 6 games because, he had
Right.
hurt himself during the what was that? The FIBA. Um and then he went to Oklahoma City and he was there for 2 years from 2017 to 2019. And hell, I mean, he averaged 28 points a game that second year in OKC. Um, in Indiana, he was averaging 21, 23, 23. Um, I'm trying to
It
look at
was
some.
him and Westbrook on that OKC team, right?
Right, right. And then he left to join Kawhi in LA. Um, and that the rest is history there.
So
I'm
that
trying to look at these
OKC run
game
was
highlights.
about so that OKC run was about 8 years ago, roughly about seven, eight
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah. If you want to talk about making people feel old, yeah, that
Hell
happened. That
yeah.
OKC run was from 2017 to 2019. So
Oh yeah.
that was when KD left, right? Because KD left in 2016. I remember that because I was
When he
moving
went
to
to Golden
Memphis, and I
State.
remember, yeah, he went to Golden State, yeah, and then that's when they traded for Paul George to give Russ another running mate, basically. Yeah,
Yeah, I could
that's
see that correlation then. I could see that correlation with the younger kids around that age group. Because
yeah, it's
it's a lot of
It makes
things,
sense.
a lot of travel AAU balling going on.
and a lot of these players today, right? Like Bradley Beal and like when AAU, when we were our age, AAU, right? You'd have one athlete every now and again that would have a team, right? And it
Right.
was like, oh wow,
Shit.
so and so's got this team. Now it seems
Everybody
like
got
all
teeth.
of
A
these
lot of those guys.
players have
Everybody.
teams now. Like it's kind
LeBron,
of an
Chris
expectation.
Paul,
Yeah, like Bradley Beal's got a
Bradley
team. I know he's had one
Beal,
for a long
Paul
time.
George has a team. Paul George, I'm pretty sure has a team.
Yeah,
Um, they all got teams, bro.
And I'm
yeah,
sure you probably see those, you probably run into those guys at one of those games, and then, like for a little kid, I'm sure, like, bro, if I would have met like fucking AI or somebody when I was playing my bitty basketball at AU, bro,
uh-huh.
that was my goal then. But if I got to meet him and like
Yeah,
shake
you
his
the king
hand,
of the world though.
oh, bro, nigga, that nigga is Jesus, boy. What
Yeah,
is you
yeah, that's what
talking
I'm
about?
saying. Yeah, yeah.
Like, man, what?
Yeah, so that's a good point too. Like just as we discussing it, right? Like they're a lot more active in these AAU circuits, summer ball circuits now than I would say probably previous players in this similar position
Right.
were. Like with us growing up, Chris, like in Louisiana, I think Brandon Bass might have had a team, and he still might
He
have a team.
did. He
Mm-hmm.
did.
Um,
Alpha Payton, he had a team.
yeah, but like Alfred Payton's kind of in that newer era, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, for
hell, I went to
sure. Yeah,
college
he,
with
Yeah.
Alfred Payton, so
Yeah.
shit. Like, I ain't trying to age myself that too much, but shit, me and Alfred Payton went
Tyrus
together.
Thompson. I'm pretty sure Tyrus Thompson had a team.
But
yeah,
like, no disrespect, but like those players we just named versus Bradley Beal, Paul
Mm.
George, Chris Paul that have teams now, it's like, oh, this ain't just a guy that you know played in the league,
yeah.
pretty good at it. We talking about some of the folks that's gonna go in the Hall of Fame that's got teams,
And
and
in the
probably
age
several.
of social media now, those kids have a lot more access to those guys. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can keep up with those guys on Instagram. We didn't have that coming up.
No,
We couldn't keep up with Kobe or LeBron as much like we thought, like
yeah,
at
you have
least
to watch Chris
nowadays. You
to
have
get
the
the highlights.
Sports Center for everything. Highlights, the top 10 countdown on ESPN,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that other good stuff, bro. Like, those were our ways to keep up with our favorite athletes at the time. But nowadays, bro, it's so much more outlets. Those guys doing their own podcasts now. You know, again, Instagram,
true.
Twitter, TikTok, so more many other platforms to keep up with those guys, and those people are becoming parts of those kids' day-to-day lives. They wake up, check their Instagram, hey man, let me see if Paul George got some training posts up or something like that. You
That's
know,
true.
you
Yeah,
start picking up on things, even it comes down to, hey, let me see what type of shoes he rocking. It come down from the shoes to the music to those people really play a part of your day to day life, and y'all can see the the inspiration, behind that.
and you brought up a good point too about the podcast, right? Like we're getting a really up close and personal look at some of these athletes because they have these platforms now. Like I
Which I
thoroughly,
love. Which I love.
I love it too. Like I love, like I know people give Paul George shit about his podcast, and he probably could focus a little bit more on trying to win some playoff games. But I enjoyed the conversation that he had about his contract negotiations.
Yeah.
Instead of hearing from my agent or from, Woj or Adam Schefter as to
Yeah.
why I left this team, I'm going to tell you what happened. I appreciate that side of it. I think we need more of that in sports. Hey, this is how I feel about these negotiations. This is where they at. And, I love and respect you guys, but this is what happened in these negotiations, right? Like Paul George took us down through there about the timeline and gave you the reasons why he didn't re-sign with the Clippers and he was going to the Sixers. So, the podcast piece is cool because you have more of that now
Yeah.
of the
You
players.
you get to hear from the source themselves, man.
Exactly.
Another great example of that is Sun God. When he announced that he was getting his money, he was like, look, I like the deal, but don't say nothing. I want to make a video to announce it myself before anybody else announces it. Like, I like that. Like, look, let's hear from the man that's signing the paper and not the man that negotiated it for him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the guy
it gives those guys a chance to speak their narrative before some other media outlet put some other narrative or change some words around. You know how that goes.
Exactly. Yeah, we never get really the full story. So I think this is where we'll end it off, guys. Great show. Loved getting back on here and catching up on some stuff. So obviously more content to come. Like I said, we got college football media days have started. NFL training camps about to begin. Like, we got a lot of good content coming up. Events coming up and giving us content to talk about. So appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to end this one right here, and we'll catch you guys soon. Peace.